Welcome to the next big thing in professional wrestling podcasting. This is Gibby with your host, Zachary Gibby. Welcome to the next big thing in pro wrestling podcasting. This is the first ever Gibby podcast coming at you from parts unknown. It's Zach McGibby. Today on the first ever episode of Gibby, I will review WrestleMania 30 and how the actions of WrestleMania 30 will greatly impact the current storylines of WWE. So let's just get started straight away with the Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and The Rock segment. This was a really cool segment with Hulk Hogan coming out first, promoting WrestleMania, promoting the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Did a very good job selling the match, and then but he did mistake the Silverdome, and that was quite funny actually, and the crowd totally ripped into Hulk Hogan for totally messing up the name of the arena. But then Stone Cold came out and also joined in on the taunting of Hulk Hogan, but there was a point in the segment where he stood face to face with Hulk Hogan, and I literally thought right then and there that he was going to Stone Cold stun Hulk Hogan right there, but then the Rock's music came on, which actually surprised me a little bit, which shouldn't really surprise me considering the news that he was backstage at the Hall of Fame ceremony. But The Rock came out, and the announcers were freaking out, especially Michael Cole. And, The Rock came out, joined in on the segment, and that was essentially it. Just did what they had to do, did some bantering back and forth, but they were there to promote WrestleMania, and they did a pretty good job. The nostalgia factor was really, really cool in this segment. Seeing all three of the greatest legends, essentially, in WWE in the same ring at the same time was quite cool to see, and, really promoted what's best for WWE in their 30 years of WrestleMania. Next was the first match of the night, which was Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. This was an amazing match, in my honest opinion. Not because I'm a big Daniel Bryan mark, but this was a really good match, and I think this match was a lot better than the Undertaker Triple H match at WrestleMania 29. If not definitely better than the WrestleMania 28 match. This was a really great match. I think this is the best wrestling match that Triple H has ever wrestled. Well, not ever wrestled, but the best wrestling match he's wrestled in a couple of years. And that's quite saying something considering he faced Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker twice. But yeah, it was a really solid match. A lot of great stuff happened in this match. Eventually Daniel Bryan came in at the end and won, and so that secured him a main event spot at WrestleMania. So he was in the World Heavyweight title, or the WWE World Heavyweight title. They should just keep it the WWE Championship. There's no point in adding the World Heavyweight title signature on it. Might as well just keep it on the WWE title. Plus, they need to get rid of that two-belt system. It's not... We get it. They've just released the WWE Championship one. Just use that. I understand. But now, yeah, just unify them. There's no need to have the dual belts, although Daniel Bryan did wear them very well when he came out on Raw the next night, but that's a different episode. But yeah, it was a very good match. It was really solidly done, and Daniel Bryan probably knew that this was his chance to shine, and the crowd was just totally into it. Like every time, just yes, yes, yes. And the coolest parts of the match had to be the Tiger Suplex. The Tiger Suplex was awesome. Rarely do we see some variations on the suplex in WWE, so it was really, really cool seeing a Tiger Suplex in that match. But yeah, Triple H, usually he could be a solid wrestler at times, but Triple H kind of has that ego that really doesn't let him capitalize on moves. Like, what I'm saying is Triple H doesn't really like putting over guys. And you could give evidence on, yes, he's put over this guy, he's put over on this guy. But at the end of the day, he's essentially one of their top guys, whether you like it or not. Essentially. So, yeah. But Triple H, yeah, definitely had one of his better matches in WWE with Daniel Bryan. That was just a really solid match. And I actually want to see another match at Extreme Rules between the two. But something happens at the end that I'll get to at the end. And yeah, let's just move on to the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. In my honest opinion, not the best match at WrestleMania, definitely. Shield just totally wiped out Kane and the New Age Outlaws. Like, it wasn't even close. And, you know, it was just trying to promote the Shield as the new top babyface trio in WWE. So essentially, that's what the match came for. I know that Billy Gunn and Road Dogg wanted the Shield in the match, and that's why we're not having another Wyatt family versus Shield match. But, you know, it wasn't really the best. It was just so quick, and although the powerbomb through the table was quite cool on Billy Gunn, but other than that, it was kind of just, you know, it was just your standard put-over match, in my opinion, and I don't know what they're going to do with the Shield next. I doubt they're going to wrestle Kane and the New Age Outlaws again. But it's going to be interesting to see what WWE does, especially with Dean Ambrose as the U.S. champion. He needs to have more title defenses as the U.S. champion. He needs a lot more title defenses because right now he has, like it's literally just a prop on him. So, yeah, they just need to get more title defenses out of Dean Ambrose and maybe get Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins back into the title picture. Maybe face the Usos a couple of times. Maybe not win the titles, but, you know. Although the Usos are face too, so that wouldn't really work. But maybe face some other tag teams, you know. But, yeah, just your standard put-over match by Kane and the New Age Outlaws on the Shield to a babyface. To the babyface faces. Next, we had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. They had the 3 surprise entrants. I thought they were going to do something special like Rob Van Dam coming back, maybe a Jericho, but I highly, highly doubted it. Maybe they would have, obviously, Rob Van Dam, Jericho, maybe Sting could show up in the Battle Royal. That's a little far-fetched, but, you know, they need that WrestleMania moment. So maybe they would have had Sting in there, but nope, they had Cesaro be one of the final 3. I forgot the other 2, but it doesn't really matter. They didn't do much. But the Battle Royal was pretty good. I liked it. It put over Cesaro really well, by the way. Cesaro won the Battle Royal, which actually surprised me a lot because I thought maybe one of the final 3 contestants was going to be either Alexander Rusev making his WrestleMania debut, but I guess they decided to hold off on that and do it on Raw. But the final 4 was Del Rio, Sheamus, Big Show, and Cesaro. Oh, before I move on to that, I'm tired of Kofi Kingston's spots in terms of Battle Royals. Yes, they're exciting. I agree they're talented, but they're starting to get used way, way too much, and they're starting to lose their appeal very, very quickly. I do appreciate the talent that Kofi Kingston has in terms of his leaping ability and how he stays away from the floor and the different ways he gets into the ring, but eventually, at the end of the day, he's just going to drag, and they're going to need to start being a little bit more creative instead of just having Kofi Kingston have that spot. But the best part of the match definitely had to be when Antonio Cesaro, Big Show carried Antonio Cesaro on his shoulder. He's just about to throw him in the ring. Cesaro gets down, and he literally picks up, kind of like when Hulk Hogan picked up Andre the Giant, picks him up, and then throws him over the ring. And not just like drops him, I mean like a good quality throw to a 400-pound guy. Obviously not very far considering his weight, but it was a top quality throw considering how big the guy was, and it really surprised me. Just wow, the pure strength out of Cesaro, and they're clearly pushing Cesaro to be a very big top babyface with that moment of carrying Big Show. It makes you forget about all the other Big Show moments of him being carried. Although that was pretty impressive, I still think, even though I'm not crazy about John Cena, I still think at WrestleMania, what was it, 25, I believe, when Cena came over and he picked up both Big Show and Edge on his back, I still think that's the most impressive feat of strength I've ever seen. But not discounting Cesaro at all, because that was just unbelievable and just pure power coming from Cesaro. But yeah, the next match we had was Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. This is where the show kind of turned into a little bit of a bore fest. Not a bore fest per se, but started to get a lot slower, especially this match. This was more of a storytelling match. Nothing really happened. Bray Wyatt did do that spider when Cena was about to do the 5-knuckle shuffle, and Wyatt countered it by doing a crab walk. It was it was quite weird, but that's all part of the Bray Wyatt character. But yeah, it was quite slow. Nothing intense happened. There was the spot when John Cena tried to go for a leg drop, and Bray Wyatt got up and did a very clean powerbomb, like a really good looking powerbomb on Cena. That was top quality stuff. The Bray Wyatt gimmick is such a good gimmick, but I'm not sure the wrestler behind the gimmick is really ready. He has had a good match with Daniel Bryan, and he's had a good match with the Shield, including his Wyatt Clang brothers. But I'm not sure that Bray Wyatt can really get into the main event just yet. I still think he should maybe go for an Intercontinental title, maybe. Go against Big E, have Bray Wyatt versus Big E Langston. That'd be an interesting match and something very, very fresh to WWE. But yeah, personally, I don't think he's ready to be in the main event yet. I think his gimmick is, but I don't think the wrestler himself is yet. So maybe just put him in a bunch of upper mid-card matches at the very least. Or sorry, at the most. And then probably push him from there, because I think Bray Wyatt does have the potential to be a top guy. Definitely a top heel. I think this gimmick is going to last a while, and he's definitely a very, very creative promo guy. Like, his promos are very cool. It's kind of Jake the Snake Roberts-esque, with a very tiny bit of Ultimate Warrior. Not for the intensity, but for the lack of incoherency when you hear his promos. But Bray Wyatt is definitely a cool, up-and-coming character that I think would be very, very cool to have in the WWE. And yeah, I think Bray Wyatt is good. John Cena had a typical Cena match, counters, and then attitude adjustment, and then win. People were complaining that it was a bad idea to have John Cena go over Bray Wyatt. Personally, I think it's okay as long as they continue the feud. Personally, I don't think Bray Wyatt is yet ready to beat John Cena in terms of his progression as a wrestler. So I'm not as mad as other people are. People should have expected it because it's John Cena at WrestleMania. But yeah, it was an okay match. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. It was just a little slow. The storytelling was really good, but this match was kind of slow, and there wasn't really any memorable spots except the crab walk. But yeah, so the next match, which is definitely the most talked match out of WrestleMania, has to be Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. That was Also a very slow match, a lot slower than the John Cena and Bray Wyatt match. But Brock Lesnar defeated the streak. He beat Undertaker cleanly. No disqualifications, nothing. He beat him cleanly, which really, really shocked me, considering the rumors that next year Undertaker was going to face Sting at WrestleMania 31. But now it appears, I mean, there's no other way to get the Undertaker. Like, there's no way that he's coming back next year. I think the Undertaker is done. People can say, oh, you know, he's probably still going to do one more match because Sting promised. I think the Undertaker is done, personally. I mean, there's no aura anymore because the Undertaker lost, and so what's he wrestling for? The streak is gone, and I think it should just stay there. The match itself was just slow. I mean, it was just, although it looked like it may have had a good start after that belly-to-belly suplex by Lesnar in the beginning, which I was surprised they did considering the age of Undertaker, and usually when you take a belly-to-belly suplex, that's not really the best move to an older guy, but yeah, then it just kind of got slow, although there was a cool moment. There were some cool moments. There was a moment where they kept switching out of MMA submissions, which was quite cool, very MMA-esque, but it was quite cool seeing the reversals to those submissions. There was the moment when Lesnar countered the old school that Undertaker was doing into an F5. That was a really cool move. I thought that was really cool. But then, Lesnar hit his third F5, and he pinned him and won. And it was shocking. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that it had ended. But considering that Undertaker wanted Brock Lesnar to end the streak, I think we should say, you know, this is the Undertaker streak, and he's choosing who he wants to end the streak. Apparently, the referee didn't even know that the streak was going to end that night. Like, they didn't tell the referee what the match ending was going to be, and that's why the bell didn't ring at the end, because he may have thought that he botched the finish. But no, it was the ending, and yeah, the crowd gave the Undertaker a standing ovation, but you know, it was just unbelievably shocking to see the Undertaker lose just after being in the business for over 20 years. It's just unbelievable that he lost like that. So the next match was the Vicky Guerrero Divas Championship Invitational. And of course, everybody was in shock, so this was kind of the filler match, really, unfortunately, to make the fans recapture themselves after The Undertaker losing. Which I feel bad for the Divas, because they actually put together a pretty cool match. There was the spot with Natalya with the suplex and powerbomb. It was quite cool. But even the announcers were saying, you know, oh, the crowd is still in shock over The Undertaker losing and all that. And it's just, you know, I'd like them to focus on the Divas division more. I mean, there's some talented wrestlers, Divas in the Divas division. I wish they would have done that. To be honest, I actually thought that this match was better than the Shield and the Kane and New Age Outlaws match. Never thought you'd hear that in the same sentence, but honestly though, the only real factor was that potential heel turn between one of the Bellas, maybe not Brie Bella, I don't think, probably more Nikki Bella, but potential heel turn maybe. You see the tension between them. Maybe they're setting something up. But yeah, that was essentially the Divas Championship Invitational. Just really a way to calm the fan down after The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania. And then we had the final match of the evening, which was the triple threat match for the WWE Championship. And that was a really good match, and Daniel Bryan had his WrestleMania moment during that. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Like, I forgot to mention that Triple H beat up Daniel Bryan after the match because he's Triple H and he can do whatever he wants because he's the COO of the company. But Daniel Bryan came into the match. He sold the injury well. They got into the match, and early on they kept beating each other, and there was Triple H coming out, and it was nice to see that they brought out the crooked referee Scott Armstrong. That was a nice little tidbit. This proves that creative does remember storylines and doesn't just drop them. But it was great to see the crooked ref. That brought some more intrigue into the match. The crowd was chanting CM Punk, even when they did that amazing spot with Batista and Orton, when Batista did a power bomb, like they were on the announce table, and Batista threw Daniel Bryan, and Orton came off the steps that he placed before the announce table. He jumped off the announce table, did an RKO while he was falling down. That was just an incredible spot and something I've never seen before. 2K better get onto that move because I want to see that in the video game. But that was a really good spot. That's definitely a spot that's going to be remembered for a while. But yeah, you saw Daniel Bryan do a suicide dive to knock out Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And that was pretty cool. And the spot was really cool, and Daniel Bryan really sold. It was they combined the elements of Bret Hart and Mick Foley into that match for Daniel Bryan. Bret Hart being that he wrestled twice in one WrestleMania. So, because Bret Hart wrestled Owen Hart first, in which he actually lost to Owen Hart, but then won the championship back to Yokozuna in WrestleMania 10. But this time Daniel Bryan won both of his matches, and it was also Mick Foley-esque, because if you remember Mick Foley falling off the cage, that he got carried off in a stretcher, and he actually got off the stretcher and kept going, and Daniel Bryan did essentially the same thing. So they're combining two elements into one. If that's not a way to get someone over, I don't know what else is. But yeah, Daniel Bryan did a combination of Bret Hart and Mick Foley, and it just essentially turned into a winning match, and he made Batista tap out, which actually surprised me considering that he just came back. I didn't think that the WWE would want to make him look weak, but he actually tapped out to Daniel Bryan, which actually surprised me because I thought maybe the match was going to go a little longer and maybe Daniel Bryan do the flying high knee to Randy Orton and win, but no, he made Batista tap out and he won the championship, which was quite cool. I read somewhere, I can't remember where I read it, but someone had said that he's just going to be like Chris Benoit and it's just going to be that nice moment for the small wrestler. I honestly don't think so. I think that Daniel Bryan really does have a chance in the main event scene. The difference between Daniel Bryan and Chris Benoit is that Daniel Bryan has a huge crowd following that's been going on for years. While Benoit didn't really have the trademark, he doesn't have that charisma like Daniel Bryan has. Daniel Bryan doesn't really have that much charisma when you really think about it. The Yes Chants are really getting him over into the main event spot, but Chris Benoit didn't really have that moment where he had chants going to him like his own chant, and it's not making merchandise, for WWE. So personally, I think that it's not going to be another moment for Daniel Bryan being just like Chris Benoit. I actually think that this is a big WrestleMania moment, and it just shows that WWE is kind of starting to realize, we've got some good talent in WWE, and we should utilize them better, because, boy, in the past couple of years, they have not been utilizing their talent very well. So that was WrestleMania. Just going to hit on some news very quickly. We have Sting officially signing with WWE. He did not debut on Raw, but apparently they have officially signed. I don't know what they're going to do with Sting. They're probably going to have him fill in that general manager role that Vicky Guerrero left, because Vicky Guerrero announced that she was leaving the WWE to pursue other interests outside of wrestling. So I think Sting could fill in that role, be a general manager on SmackDown. But really, there's no point in general managers anymore. I mean, they've got Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon and Kane, the director of operations, running around and just, taking control of the WWE. And for a moment, everybody really forgot about Brad Maddox, and Maddox is the actual Raw general manager. And you wouldn't think it by the way that the TV time has been going to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. But, yeah. Sting officially signs with WWE. WWE.com didn't announce it. This is from WrestlingInc.com. Another thing that really got on the wrestling fans' nerves, well, the Sting thing didn't really get on wrestling fans' nerves, but what did get on wrestling fans' nerves is Nancy Grace. Of course, Nancy Grace has to make her opinion heard. She is not the greatest person in the world, obviously. She apparently put Owen Hart on a list of people that have taken steroids and have died, which is very not well researched at all, considering the fact that the Owen Hart death was quite publicized, that he fell from the rafters into the ring and died, and had nothing to do with steroids. So therefore, that should be taken off the list. I mean, that was just poor research by Nancy Grace. I mean, seriously. Come on, Nancy Grace. And obviously insulting the Ultimate Warrior, and how instead of remembering his legacy, just absolutely tarnishing it, really, by accusing him of steroids, which he did take. But you can't just say steroids took over his life when he's achieved many more past steroids. So yeah, Nancy Grace also in the news. And also nothing really much happening. Just The Undertaker's probably going to retire. I bet you he is. They're like, oh, his future is unknown. He's going to retire. I guarantee it that he's going to retire. They're going to find some way to get him retired. There's no way he's coming back to WrestleMania to wrestle one more match. I don't think so at all. I don't think he'll wrestle Sting. I don't even think Sting will wrestle this at all. I think he's just going to be in WWE as a figure, and because of the WWE network, he's probably just going to be a publicity figure. So anyways, that was the Raw is Gibby WrestleMania review. And that's the end of the first episode of Raw is Gibby. If you liked this episode, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video and help support the show. Hoping to get more of these videos out every Wednesday, so I hope to see you then. This is Zach McGibby sounding off.